Some crimes don't terrify us because of what happened. They terrify us because of what they reveal about human psychology. The Junko Furuta case is one of the clearest examples of how ordinary teenagers can transform into something unrecognizable. Not because they were born monsters, but because certain psychological switches flipped inside them. Today, I'm breaking down the exact psychological mechanisms that made this crime possible. No details, no sensationalism, just the psychology. Cruelty doesn't start with violence. It starts when empathy dies, and the breakdown begins. Dehumanization, the first switch. Dehumanization is when the brain stops recognizing someone as a human being. It's not sudden. It's a gradual mental shift. First, the group labels the victim as less than. Then they reinforce that idea through jokes, insults, and group agreement. Once the brain accepts this label, empathy shuts off. When empathy shuts off, pain doesn't register. Suffering becomes irrelevant. Morality collapses. This is the psychological doorway to extreme cruelty. Not hatred, erasure. 2. Group identity, the loss of individual morality. Individually, most offenders would never reach this level of cruelty. But in a group, psychology changes. Group dynamics create shared responsibility, shared guilt, shared delusion, shared fantasy. Each person becomes less accountable because everyone else is doing it. This is called diffusion of responsibility. Inside the group, cruelty becomes a performance. Each offender escalates to avoid looking weak. Violence becomes a way to earn status. This is why group crimes are always more extreme than individual ones. 3. Power high, the addiction to control. Some individuals experience a dopamine spike from having total control over someone weaker. This is not emotional. It is not sexual. It is dominance-driven. The brain rewards superiority, fear, obedience, helplessness. This creates an addiction-like cycle. The previous level of control stops being enough, so they escalate to feel the same psychological high. This is why cruelty intensifies over time, not because of logic, but because of stimulation and ego. 4. Moral disengagement, the brain's self-protection. To avoid guilt, the brain creates internal excuses. Common ones include, "She deserves it. It's not my fault. Everyone else is doing it. It's just a game." These thoughts disconnect the action from the moral consequences. It's a psychological shield that allows extreme behavior without emotional pain. Without moral disengagement, guilt would stop the behavior. With it, the offender feels nothing. 5. Emotional emptiness, the empathy deficit. Many perpetrators come from environments where empathy was never taught. They grew up in violent households, emotionally cold families, environments where dominance was rewarded, cultures where vulnerability was mocked. This creates individuals who cannot feel the emotional reality of others. They understand pain intellectually, but not emotionally. This emotional emptiness becomes dangerous when combined with power and group influence. 6. Status competition, violence as social currency. Inside violent groups, the biggest fear is not punishment. It is humiliation. Offenders escalate cruelty because they don't want to look weak. They want approval. They want dominance. They want to maintain status. Violence becomes a currency. The more extreme the act, the higher the status inside the group. This creates a competitive environment where cruelty becomes a way to prove loyalty and strength. 7. Collapse of reality, the final stage. Over time, the group becomes psychologically isolated from normal society. They create their own world, their own rules, their own logic, their own hierarchy, their own moral code. In this world, cruelty feels normal, consequences feel distant, empathy feels irrelevant. This collapse of reality is what allows prolonged cruelty without remorse. The offenders are not thinking about the future. They are trapped in a distorted present. The Junko Furuta case wasn't just a crime. It was a psychological breakdown, a perfect storm of dehumanization, group pressure, power addiction, emotional emptiness, moral disengagement, status competition, reality distortion. Not monsters, just humans with their empathy switched off, one decision at a time.